There are truck companies that disappear because they built weak machines, and then there are truck companies that disappear because the world changed into something cheaper, faster, and less patient. Diamond T belonged to the second kind. It was not killed by bad engineering. It was not killed because drivers hated it. It was killed because it built trucks too carefully, too beautifully, and too expensively for an America that was slowly learning to choose volume over pride. For decades, people called it the Cadillac of trucks, and they did not mean it as a cute nickname. They meant it because a Diamond T looked different, felt different, and worked different. It could haul freight, drag wrecked armor through desert sand, pull impossible loads, and still wear chrome like it had somewhere important to be after the job was done. Your grandfather may have seen one without ever knowing what he was looking at. Maybe it was parked beside a grain elevator in the cold morning air, its engine ticking softly after a hard run. Maybe it was rolling through Chicago traffic with polished trim, catching the light between brick warehouses. Maybe it was moving slowly along a dusty road, carrying a load that looked too heavy for anything with wheels. To most people, it was just a truck, but to the men who drove them, bought them, fixed them, and depended on them, a Diamond T was something else. It was a working machine with dignity, and that idea began in the most unlikely place. Not a truck factory, not an engine plant, but a shoe factory. Chicago, 1905. Charles Arthur Tilt was 28 years old, ambitious, stubborn, and operating with $1,000 borrowed from his mother. His father owned a shoe factory, and Charles was given a corner of that building to start his company. The Tilt family made quality shoes, and their best line carried a diamond-shaped logo. The T stood for Tilt. Charles took that mark of quality from the family shoe business and placed it on his new automobile company. That was the beginning of Diamond T. But in the beginning, Diamond T did not build trucks at all. It built touring cars. Tilt had already seen the automobile business from the inside. A few years earlier, his father had rented part of the shoe factory to Charles Knight, inventor of the Knight sleeve valve engine. In 1904, Tilt worked as sales manager for the Knight Motor Car Company, learning the business directly. Then he quit and launched his own company right next door to the world that had trained him. The first Diamond T car was built in 1905, but it did not sell until 1907. That year, regular production began with 3 touring car models, some rated up to 70 horsepower, which was serious power in those early days of motoring. Tilt was president, general manager, salesman, and chief mechanic at the same time, because apparently one impossible job was not enough for the man. For 6 years, Diamond T was a car company. Then, one customer changed everything by asking for a truck. Just one truck. Some accounts say it was ordered by a local plumbing supply company. Tilt built it in 1911, a 1.5-ton conventional truck with a 4-cylinder engine, chain drive, and dual solid rear tires. It was not glamorous. It was not designed to make people stare. It was a tool. But when Tilt looked at that truck, he saw the future more clearly than he had seen it in touring cars. He realized there were more bucks in trucks. Those were his words. So he abandoned passenger cars completely and turned Diamond T into a truck company. But Tilt did not want to build trucks the way everyone else built trucks. In the early 1900s, most trucks were crude, square, and ugly because nobody expected beauty from a commercial vehicle. A truck was supposed to haul things, break down, get fixed, and haul more things. Style was for passenger cars. Comfort was for people who did not spend their lives covered in grease. Tilt rejected that idea completely. He believed a truck did not have to be homely. That belief became the soul of Diamond T. A truck could be strong and handsome. A truck could be useful and beautiful. A driver could spend all day behind the wheel without feeling like he had been sentenced to a metal box. Through the 1910s, Diamond T grew steadily. Its trucks served farms, merchants, and businesses around Chicago. By 1915, branches and dealers had helped the company gain recognition as a national truck manufacturer. The engineering kept improving. By 1913, worm drive rear axles became available, replacing the original chain drive. The trucks were becoming stronger, smoother, and more refined. Then, World War I arrived, and the federal government needed trucks. Diamond T was selected to build 1,500 Liberty trucks in 3-ton and 5-ton models over 18 months. For a company of its size, that was a serious test. Diamond T delivered on time without drama, and that mattered. In wartime, reliability is not a slogan, it is survival. When the war ended, Diamond T entered the 1920s with something money could not easily buy: a reputation. Customers wanted faster trucks, stronger trucks, and more comfortable trucks. Tilt responded with bigger engines and pneumatic air cushion tires, but he also pushed the visual identity harder. Diamond T trucks began wearing chrome, finished headlights, polished parking lights, and gleaming running boards. The heavy trucks received 6-cylinder engines from Continental and Hercules, while lighter models used 4-cylinder Buddha engines. Closed cabs arrived with doors and roll-up windows. All-wheel hydraulic drum brakes appeared. By 1929, Diamond T offered chassis load ratings up to 12 tons on 3 axles. But the real difference was not only mechanical, it was emotional. By the late 1920s, Diamond T trucks looked unlike almost anything else on the road. They did not look like crude work platforms. They looked finished. They looked proud. The company's advertising stopped calling them simply the nation's freight car and began calling them the handsomest truck in America. And for once, the advertising department was not completely detached from reality, which is rare enough to deserve documentation. The chrome, the grille, the stance, the proportions, and the attention to detail made Diamond T trucks stand apart from the plain workhorses surrounding them. Underneath that beauty, the trucks were brutally tough. Diamond T developed a close relationship with Hercules for engines, including L-head 6-cylinder engines with 7 main-bearing crankshafts made from some of the strongest steel available. The company used respected components like Timken axles, Clark rear ends, and Warner transmissions. Diamond T was an assembled truck manufacturer, meaning it sourced excellent parts from excellent suppliers and combined them with obsessive care. That made the trucks expensive, but it also made them durable. They were not pretty toys. They were serious industrial machines dressed with uncommon pride. By 1929, Diamond T sold 3,590 trucks a year. Then the Great Depression hit, and the American economy collapsed around companies that had seemed stable only yesterday. Diamond T sales fell to 2,250 by 1932. A weaker company might have stripped down its trucks, lowered quality, and chased cheaper buyers. Tilt did the opposite. He believed that if fewer people were buying trucks, the ones still buying would want the best. It was risky, but it fit Diamond T perfectly. The company had never survived by being the cheapest. It survived by convincing buyers that the extra money bought something real. Then, in 1933, Diamond T helped create one of the strangest and most futuristic commercial vehicles of the decade, the Texaco Doodlebug. Built in partnership with the Heel Company and Texaco, and designed with help from industrial designer Norman Bell Geddes and Diamond T chief engineer C.A. Pierce, the Doodlebug was a streamlined airport refueling tanker that looked like it had fallen out of a science fiction magazine. It stood only 72 inches tall, shorter than many modern minivans. It had a rear-mounted Hercules 6-cylinder engine, a 1,500-gallon fuel tank, a 180-degree curved glass windshield, and no traditional fenders, hood, or running boards. The whole body was one smooth aerodynamic shell. Because the driver sat far from the engine, engineers installed a microphone in the engine compartment and a speaker in the cab so the driver could hear the RPM and shift by ear. The clutch and 4-speed gearbox were operated by air pressure. Only 7 were built. The first appeared at the Chicago World's Fair in November 1933 and stopped people in their tracks. None survive today. The Doodlebug did not make Diamond T rich, but it proved Tilt's belief in a dramatic way. A truck could be functional and beautiful. Engineering could serve purpose and appearance at the same time. A commercial machine did not have to look like punishment. By the mid-1930s, Diamond T had become one of the most respected names in American trucking. In 1936, Diamond T reached its peak, selling 8,750 trucks, the best year in company history. That same year, it introduced the Model 80, a 3/4-ton pickup aimed at competitors like International, Federal, Rio, and Mack. The deluxe version came with an electric clock and a jeweled cigar lighter in a truck in 1936, because apparently Charles Tilt believed even a working man deserved a little theater in his dashboard. 2 years later, Diamond T introduced the Model 201, the 1-ton pickup that would become one of the company's most remembered civilian trucks. It looked like a late 1930s Cadillac or Pontiac had been turned into a work vehicle. The grille was bold and elegant. The fenders flowed beautifully. Chrome details framed the body. The swept-back 2-piece windshield gave it motion even when it was parked. But underneath the style was a serious work machine. It had a heavy-duty frame with X-bracing, Lockheed hydraulic brakes, full floating rear axles, an extra rigid front I-beam axle, cast iron spoke wheels, and 13 steel leaves in each rear spring. Its gross vehicle weight rating was 8,000 pounds. The Hercules L Head 6 produced 73 horsepower through a Warner transmission. It was not fast. Top speed was about 40 miles per hour because the engine turned slowly, but speed was not the point. The point was strength. The Model 201 cost $1,655, about a third more than a Ford half-ton V8 pickup. Inside the company, it was known as the boss's truck because that was who could afford one. Only around 7,000 Model 201s were built between 1938 and 1949, fewer than 700 per year. Today, restored examples can bring more than $50,000, and some estimates push toward $160,000. It was rare when new. It is treasured now. Then came World War II, and Diamond T moved from American roads into global war. In 1940, the British Purchasing Commission needed a tank transporter capable of moving heavy armor across the North African desert. The existing Scammell Pioneer was not enough. There were too few of them, and newer tanks were heavier. The British needed something powerful, durable, and available quickly. Diamond T already had a heavy truck prototype developed for the U.S. Army Quartermaster Corps. With modifications, it met British requirements. The first order was for 200 units, and Diamond T filled it quickly. The result was the Diamond T Model 980, a 12-ton 6x4 ballast tractor built to haul tanks. It used a Hercules DFX diesel engine with 895 cubic inches of displacement, nearly 15 liters. This naturally aspirated inline-six produced around 200 horsepower and nearly 700 pound-feet of torque at just 1,600 RPM. Most American military trucks of the era used gasoline engine, making the Diamond T one of the only diesel-powered tactical trucks in the U.S. fleet during the war. Some variants used the Hall-Scott 440 gasoline engine instead, a massive 1,090 cubic inch engine producing 240 horsepower, the largest gasoline engine fitted to any World War II military truck. The drivetrain was built for pulling power. A single dry plate clutch sent power into a Fuller 4-speed main transmission with a 3-speed auxiliary gearbox. Together, they provided 12 forward speeds and 3 reverse speeds. Power went through Timken double reduction differentials to the 2 rear axles. The front axle was undriven, which limited off-road capability and annoyed the U.S. Army. But in desert conditions, with all that weight pressing down on the driven axles, the truck worked. Its top speed was under 25 miles per hour, but speed did not matter. What mattered was whether it could move dead weight through sand, mud, and war. Paired with the Rogers M9 trailer, the Diamond T became the M19 tank transporter. The trailer was a 12-wheel machine with tandem rear axles and a single front axle on a rotating dolly. The combination could carry a trailer load of up to 115,000 pounds, or 52 tons. Behind the cab sat a 40,000-pound Garwood winch with 300 feet of cable on the Model 980 and 500 feet on the later Model 981. It could drag a damaged Sherman or Churchill tank onto the trailer, even under fire. The ballast box could hold 18,000 pounds of rocks, sand, concrete, iron pigs, or anything else crews could use to force more weight onto the rear axles for traction. The first batch reached Britain in 1942 and went to North Africa. There, the Diamond T earned a reputation that no showroom ever could have given it. The desert was brutal, heat over 100 degrees, sand, mud after rare rainstorms, broken terrain, debris, and unexploded ordnance. Battle-damaged tanks had to be recovered quickly and hauled back to repair workshops miles behind the front line. The Diamond T did the job. It was slow, heavy, loud, and difficult, but it worked when it had to. The Royal Army Service Corps crews respected it deeply because men tend to develop affection for machines that refuse to betray them while people are shooting. The U.S. Army never loved the Diamond T tank transporter the way the British did. American forces preferred the M26 Dragon Wagon, a 6x6 vehicle built by Pacific Car and Foundry. As late as April 1944, U.S. Army ground forces were still arguing that Diamond Ts should be shipped only to theaters where specifically requested for a specific purpose. The Americans saw limitations. The British saw one of the best vehicles of the war. Around 5,871 Model 980 and 981 tank transporters were built by 1945. They served in every theater and were used by every Allied army. Britain received around 1,000 during the war, and many stayed in service after it. They were not fully replaced until the early 1950s by the Thornycroft Antar, and some remained operational in British units until 1971. 1941, Diamond T's war production went far beyond tank transporters. It built the G509 series of 4-ton 6x6 trucks, including cargo trucks, dump trucks, semi-tractors, and wreckers. It built half-tracks. The Model 969 wrecker became the U.S. Army's standard medium wrecker during the war, fitted with a Holmes W45 heavy-duty military wrecker bed, twin booms, and 2 5-ton winches. Diamond T ranked 47th among all United States corporations in the value of World War II military production contracts. For a company that began in a shoe factory corner, that was a remarkable rise. After the war, Diamond T returned to civilian production with a respected name, proven engineering, and a strong reputation. The post-war market was hungry for trucks. The company introduced the 700 and 900 series, aimed at heavy transport and long-haul work. In 1946, it even built an experimental wood-bodied station wagon on a 110-inch wheelbase, powered by a Continental F226L Head 6. Tilt considered entering the passenger car market again, but management decided the vehicle would be too overbuilt and too expensive for civilian buyers. The project was shelved. The single prototype became a company shuttle, was later sold to a Chicago truck driver in the 1950s, and reportedly disappeared. The decision to stay with trucks made sense, but the market was changing. Ford, Chevrolet, International Harvester, and other major manufacturers were growing larger and more efficient. Mass production gave them lower costs, wider dealer networks, and cheaper trucks. Diamond T still built beautiful, durable machines, but beauty and durability cost money. Increasingly, buyers chose trucks that were cheaper and good enough. And good enough, that dull little phrase, has buried more excellent machines than failure ever did. Charles Tilt retired in 1946 after leading Diamond T for 41 years, though he stayed on as board chairman. Then in 1954, he died of a sudden heart attack at 77. With him went the soul of the company. He was the man who had insisted trucks did not have to be homely, the man who put chrome on work machines, the man who turned $1,000 from his mother into roughly 250,000 trucks over 56 years. Without him, Diamond T lost the stubborn center that had made it different. White Motor Corporation soon moved in. White was acquiring truck companies aggressively. It bought Sterling in 1951, had an exclusive sales and service arrangement with Freightliner, and bought Rio in 1957. Diamond T resisted, but not for long. On March 28, 1958, White Motor Corporation purchased Diamond T. In 1960, White closed Diamond T's longtime Chicago factory and moved production to the Rio plant in Lansing, Michigan. Financially, the move made sense. Emotionally, it cut the brand from its roots. Diamond T had been a Chicago company for 55 years. Its factory, workers, habits, and identity were part of what made it Diamond T. Under White, the brand slowly lost its shape. Models were trimmed, designs were shared. Diamond T trucks began to look more like White trucks. The distinctive grills, chrome details, hood ornaments, and flowing lines faded into corporate standardization. No single decision killed the brand. 100 small ones did. That model disappeared. This feature was standardized. That design was shared with Rio. The badge stayed for a while, but the spirit thinned out. It was death by committee, which is what happens when accountants discover beauty and immediately look for a way to reduce it. The last true Diamond T rolled off the Lansing assembly line in late 1966. In 1967, White merged Diamond T and Rio into Diamond Rio. The name survived, but the original company did not. Diamond Rio made competent trucks, some of them good, but they were no longer Diamond T in the old sense. In 1971, White sold the division to a group led by Francis Capert from Birmingham, Alabama. The new Diamond Rio Trucks Inc. introduced models like the C116 series with Cummins and Detroit diesel engines, but the financial pressure was too much. On December 6, 1974, Diamond Rio entered bankruptcy. A year later, Loyal Osterlund and Ray Hausiel bought the rights and continued limited production in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. The name changed hands again and again, each time drifting farther from Charles Tilt's original vision. So what killed Diamond T? Not bad trucks. That is the important part. The trucks were exceptional. What killed Diamond T was the economics of American manufacturing after World War II. The same forces that killed Packard, Studebaker, Hudson, Nash, Kaiser, and many other independent manufacturers eventually crushed Diamond T. It was a premium brand in a world moving toward scale, volume, and lower prices. If a Ford or International could haul the same freight for less money, most buyers chose the cheaper truck. The people who appreciated Hercules engines, 7 main bearing crankshafts, heavy frames, extra spring leaves, beautiful trim, and driver comfort were not enough to keep an independent company alive. Diamond T also belonged to an older trucking world, one that was more regional and personal. A Chicago fleet owner might choose Diamond T because he trusted the local factory. A driver might demand one because he had spent years behind the wheel and knew it would not quit. But the interstate highway system changed freight. National fleets wanted national parts, national service, and standardized equipment. Diamond T's dealer network was good, but it could not match Ford or International Harvester. The company built better trucks than many of its rivals, but better was no longer enough. And yet, Diamond T did not vanish completely. Over 56 years, it built roughly 250,000 trucks, fewer than Ford can build in a single year today. But those trucks left a legacy far bigger than their numbers. Collectors still restore them. Military enthusiasts still preserve Model 980 tank transporters. In Britain, Diamond T's still appear at historic vehicle shows nearly 80 years after they arrived for war duty. After the war, surplus Diamond T's pulled heavy loaders and fairground trailers across British roads, with some working into the 1970s. In Australia, Diamond T became part of outback history. Road train operators discovered these trucks could pull 5, 6, even 8 trailers through brutal remote terrain. One truck named Bertha sits in the Transport Hall of Fame in Alice Springs. Diamond T's helped change the pastoral industry in northern Australia by making livestock movement possible across distances that had once seemed impossible. A company born in a Chicago shoe factory ended up helping open the Australian outback because history apparently enjoys showing off. Today, the collector market tells the rest of the story. Model 201 pickups can bring serious money. Fully restored examples can command 6 figures. In January 2026, a Diamond T cab over-engine pickup sold for $196,000. Across all models, average sale prices sit around $46,000 for a company many people have never even heard of. One owner paid $35,000 for a Model 201 sight unseen from Colorado, hunted down authentic Diamond T seats and correct hubcaps, and now uses it as a daily driver while estimating its value around $160,000. Another collector in Minnesota bought a Diamond T almost by accident, only later discovering it had just 24,000 original miles. That is the strange afterlife of great machinery. When Diamond T was new, it was expensive because it was built better. Now it is valuable because people finally understand what was lost. The company left behind more than trucks. It left behind a philosophy. A working machine did not have to be ugly. A driver did not have to spend his life inside a punishment box. A truck could haul stone, fuel, armor, wreckage, livestock, and freight, and still carry grace in its metal. Charles Arthur Tilt began with $1,000, a borrowed corner of a shoe factory, and a diamond logo from his family's best shoes. He built cars, abandoned them for trucks after one customer asked for a commercial rig, supplied farms and fleets, served 2 world wars, and created machines that crossed American highways, North African deserts, British roads, and Australian outback tracks. His company was eventually bought, moved, merged, diluted, bankrupted, and scattered. But the idea survived, because when a Diamond T rolls into a show field today and the sunlight catches the chrome, people still stop. They lean closer. They look at the grille, the hood ornament, the fenders, the badge, and the heavy frame underneath. And for a moment, even if they have never heard the name before, they understand. This was not just transportation. This was a machine built by people who cared. Diamond T did not die because it failed. It died because the world changed. But the best machines do not always survive by staying in production. Sometimes they survive in the silence they create when people see them decades later and realize that once, even a truck could be built like a masterpiece.